What's up, Sagebrush? How's it going? I'm Eric, and I'm here with Andrew Poe, and I'm here with Rick, and today we're going to talk a little bit about living free, and we want to communicate with you too. So if you're watching us live on Facebook, go ahead and put some comments in the comments section, and we're going to answer all the questions that you have about living free and some of the things that we've got going on in our recovery ministries. First, I want to give you an opportunity to get to know these two guys here. And so, guys, thanks for being here. You want to say hi to the camera and answer this question. What is your favorite outdoor activity? Andrew, why don't you start?
Hi, everybody. Good to see you online and out there. My favorite outdoor activity is running. I don't know why, but I started running a long time ago, and I just like to do it. So outside in the Bosque is one of my favorite runs. Down by the river is incredible as well. That's one of my favorite outdoor activities. What about you, Rick?
Hey, everybody. I hate running, just so you know.
You should like running.
I do everything outdoors, though. I love hiking. I love biking. But my favorite thing is golf. I am a golfer, and I love this area for golf.
All right. So any golfers or runners, here's what I want. Just so we can help Andrew and Rick out, put in your favorite golf course or favorite place to golf or your favorite trail to run.
Yeah.
Right?
Elena Gallegos is my favorite, dude. It's beautiful.
What's the length? You in like a 1 to 2 mile? You 5 to 6, 10 to 20 miles?
I only get started at 1 to 2 miles. Okay, that's just a starter run, bro. I'm typically like 5 or 6 miles.
Great. Well, just go ahead and enter in your favorite 5 to 6 mile trail. This is going really well to start.
It's going great. We're doing good.
I'm almost afraid to ask the second question, but we're going to go ahead and do that anyway. For those of you paying attention and watching live, because we've got people from all over the country watching right now, go ahead and type in, what is your favorite New Mexico hidden treasure? Okay, so Rick, let's start here. What's your favorite hidden treasure of New Mexico?
So here's one that I found. This is quite a while ago, but I found it on the Pecos River. And there's a place called Jack's Creek Trail. Ooh. And it is gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It's a pretty difficult trail, but you find all kinds of aspens and wildflowers and wildlife and that. It's great. It's a treasure in New Mexico.
Yeah.
What about you?
Thank you for asking. My favorite is Tent Rocks. I like Tent Rocks. There's a little trail to the Tent Rocks, and I feel like I am in the movie Star Wars and like a little Ewok village or something like that. But I like the trail out there and have taken my kids out there, and it's beautiful.
Yep.
What about you, Eric?
I've been to Tent Rocks. I agree. That's great. Actually, my family last summer, we went down and we did a vacation in like the Alamogordo, Cloudcroft area. So like really, you could be in Alamogordo and go to White Sands, then also go into Cloudcroft and go to Ruidoso. So you're like within that area where you could be alpine, you could be desert. So it was just really cool to see all of the different kind of ecosystems within one little area there.
Did you sled?
Yes, we did. We did sled.
It doesn't work good.
We saw a camel too. We saw a guy with a camel, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Just so you guys know, there's a couple comments here. In the comments, Todd here says, "I only run when I'm being chased," so that's something to keep in mind. And I saw a couple other people said like a 1 to 2 mile run. That's like a waste of time.
A waste of time.
So I think people are agreeing with you too. And Pecos River has some good fishing and fossil hunting. That's great. Oh. So let's get into it here. Let's talk a little bit more because both of you are pastors on staff.
Yes.
And Andrew, we've heard from you before, especially if you watch on Mondays. You get a chance to hear from Andrew for the message discussion. So I want to know specifically from Rick, how did you get involved in ministry here at Sagebrush?
At Sagebrush. Yeah. Well, so I was working at a church in Vancouver, Washington. Some of you may know where that is, South Washington. And I went to a recovery conference in Riverside, California. And when I was there, I met these guys from this church in New Mexico called Sagebrush. And they were asking me questions about recovery, and I was helping them out, and just talking with them and that. Well, I went back to our church, and a year later, I get a phone call from one of those pastors said, "Hey, we're looking for somebody to lead our, care and recovery program here at Sagebrush, if you know anyone interested." And that kind of started one thing into another, and so I came down, interviewed, and I was hired here at Sagebrush, and I've been here ever since.
And so you're the pastor on staff that oversees Living Free. And Living Free, you talked about it as a recovery ministry. Give us a little bit of idea, because, we use words like living free and recovery ministry, but practically, what does that mean here at Sagebrush?
Yeah, it's really our care and recovery ministry or program for the church. And it's when people go through a difficult time. Listen, we all go through difficult times in our life. Maybe it's pain, a loss, relationship challenges, maybe it's an addiction, anything like that. And we need a place to come and find hope and support, and help. And so we provide that place.
And Andrew, I want to ask you because you oversee some things here at the Riverside campus, and this is really where Living Free is kind of the biggest and things like that. What impacts have you seen? Like, why is it so important to have a care and recovery ministry for a church like ours?
Well, for ours in Albuquerque, New Mexico, there are so many people who are struggling with addictions and brokenness and just with hurts. And so we have this program that's been incredible. And I remember before Rick actually got here, we had about 100 people who are just kind of joining us in the loft area of our children's building. And we saw that quickly outgrow it. And so it's become just an incredible ministry with like over 500 people meeting to get recovery and to get some help. And so it's been an incredible program. Many of the baptisms that you see at Sagebrush are people who've come out of recovery. Because they've gotten their life right with Christ and they've found the Lord. And many of our key volunteers that we have now at our church, their front door to coming to Sagebrush was through our Living Free program. So it's been incredible for us.
Yeah. So what would you say, Rick, we'll just go back to you. We said recovery, we said care, but let's break that down. Like, what is the purpose? Who are the types of people that come in? What are they recovering from? What sort of cares? Those sorts of things. Like, why would somebody say, hey, I need to go to Living Free?
Yeah. It's really a wide span of people, because I really say, it's not just recovery, it's really just dealing with struggles, challenges, pain in our life. We all go through those. And a lot of times it's that person that they have something in their life, but they just don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to get healing from that. They don't know how to move forward in their life. And so really that's what we target. We target people with really felt needs and people that are really struggling in their life and they need that support, accountability, and they need hope most of all.
Yeah. And we have groups for stress and anxiety. We have groups for the people who are grieving. Our Grief Share program has been a part of Living Free, divorce care, lots of just different opportunities for people to grow, as well as just general Bible studies of people who are starting in their faith. And we've got a new believers class that we run through it. So it's been an incredible spot.
Yeah, so Andrew, you talked a little bit about there was not only a lot of the baptisms that you see, and I know that on the weekends a lot of times we're using life change stories or testimonials, and some of those come from people who've been in the care and recovery ministries. But do you have any stories that you could share about the type of life change that happens or anything specific like that?
Yep. Well, we have all kinds of life change. I mean, really, Living Free is about life change. It really is. And so we see marriages that are healed. We see addictions. People are free from addictions. We see people that have abuse in their background, that God heals those. We see people with relationship challenges. They don't even know how to have a healthy relationship. And we help them, learn boundaries in their life and learn how to detect somebody that's not healthy. We deal with grief, of course, and people that have had loss, and they just feel like, how can I go forward? Well, when they come there, they can find support, and they can find out, I can heal from this loss, and I can move forward. So we see all those things. But I did bring a little bit of a testimony here from somebody that sent this in to me, and I just want to share it with you. This will give you a picture of a testimony about life change at Living Free. And this person is Paul. He says, I had reached a crossroads of my life. I felt disconnected, disappointed in the way things were going in my life. My marriage was ruined. My career was at a standstill. I was bankrupt and my home was being foreclosed. I felt lost, alone, and isolated. I was talking to a friend about the situation. She told me about Sagebrush and Living Free. So my heart was open. I decided to attend. The message spoke directly to me that first night. It spoke about, recommitting your life to God, and goes on and on. And then he says, I decided after the service to continue to attend Living Free with a friend. Now hear this. That week, she passed away. His friend passed away. It was her last mission.
Wow.
And so although devastated by the loss, my resolve to attend was strengthened. I really felt that the Lord wanted a relationship with me, guided by love and support of my friend. I realized that he had also put me in exactly the place I needed to be. I not only attended Living Free service, but joined Grief Share. again, right where I needed to be. I have since found comfort in the church and in Jesus Christ. Not only has he helped me deal with my loss of a friend, but I also felt reconnected. I have a new positive outlook on life. I no longer feel lost. I feel repurposed with a new sense of community. I felt so strongly in my commitment and that positive effect about Christianity that I got baptized. I have since begun to serve at Living Free, joined a small men's Bible study, and became a member of Sagebrush. I am the church. All of this because one person cared enough to tell me about the love of Jesus Christ. Isn't that great?
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that story represents, hundreds of others. Hundreds of others just like that. Yeah. So a couple of comments in the comment section here. Adriana says, everyone can benefit from Living Free. That ministry can help anyone and everyone. We all have pain in our lives. Thank you for this ministry. Marlon says, Living Free is for anyone that needs help,
Correct.
hope, or healing. And that's all of us. Let's see here. We've got a couple others. And then one other person said, Scott said, Living Free is such a vital ministry. I never knew how jacked up I was until I attended for the first time. So I think that was a little bit of a callback from Pastor Todd this past weekend about his marriage. But what I love about Living Free too is, like you said, it's not just for somebody that is going through a chemical dependency or something else like that. In fact, I think we had an individual who reached out and said, "Hey, I've got my boyfriend is cheating on me. I need him to go to Living Free." And then we had people that said, well, maybe you need to go to Living Free too, because it's not just about the person who needs hope and healing, or directly. Talk a little bit about that. Like, what does it look like for people who live with or interact with those that need healing?
Yes. So a lot of times we call that codependency. And so we want our loved one to get better. We want them to get help. We want them to change in that. But in order to do that, we need to change, because a lot of times we are enabling that person to continue that destructive behavior. And so we always offer codependency, of course, at Living Free. And we all are codependent a bit, some of us a little bit more than others, but we need to be healed so that we're healthy, so that they can get the help that they need. So that's how I'd answer that.
Yeah, and Andrew, I think, because you handle quite a few pastoral conversations. At what point do you, in those conversations, do you recommend that people go to Living Free? I mean, is this like substituting for professional counseling or medication or anything?
Yeah, it obviously doesn't supplement professional counseling or medication and all those different things, but it's a great place to start for somebody who's got a struggle that's beyond just what a small group can cover. Because sometimes you get into a small group, right, and you're like, man, that's a place where we can depend upon one another. But some people just need a little bit more. They need a little bit of extra help. And so we've got, trained leaders. And some of the leaders that we have working in the Living Free program are honestly some of the best around the whole entire church. They've been committed to this program for a long, long time now, and they've been giving their very best. And what I've loved through this time is we have more people who've been coming to Living Free from all over the United States. Like, we've got guys in California who've joined us, people who live out in Tucumcari who've joined us, Shiprock as well, and just a number of different places where they've come in from all over. And so it's been cool to see how we've been able to resource them with the help that they need to get through whatever issue they're facing.
And so I love that you mentioned that about the small groups, because we talked about small groups last week. James was here, and we've been talking about small groups because small groups is so important. And so there might be a step where you're in a small group, but you need small group and Living Free. Correct. And that might be for a season. Is that, how does that work out how do you know, man, I need to go to Living Free if I'm already in a small group, I'm already doing these things? What are some things that you would say are indicators?
I mean, there's lots of things.
Lots of things, yeah.
Yeah, here's the problem is if we have a struggle in our own life and we're in a small group, a lot of times everything gets focused on us.
Correct.
And now we are the center of the small group, and we can't really move forward because we're always dealing with our problems. If that's you in a small group, then you need to come to Living Free.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's an issue that's a sensitive one that they can't really talk about in their small group. We've got a lot of guys who struggle with pornography at our church. And they don't have a safe place to really talk about that because maybe they're not comfortable in their small group. They're not comfortable because it's a mixed group of a married couples group. And so we have this FMO group. It's called For Men Only. And it's one of the most successful groups that we've ever had in Living Free. And it's a great group of guys that just support, keep one another accountable. We also have a partners group for ladies who are trying to figure out, well, what do I do if my husband is struggling with this? And so it's been an incredible ministry for us.
And we have 4 different nights that we offer FMO.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it's not just Wednesday night. We have them on several nights.
Yeah.
So a couple more comments in here. Andres says Living Free allows you to seek help while bonding with others. in similar situations. It's an essential part of healing while learning about God. I think that's a great comment, and you guys have talked through about people from all over the country connecting. And now we're kind of in this situation where over the past 3-4 months, we haven't been able to meet publicly. So how has Living Free shifted to adapt to that?
Well, originally we shifted about 2.5 months ago to everything online.
Yep.
And so we did all of our groups online, and that's been challenging for sure. Some of the groups have done really well. Some have struggled a bit online. And so now that we are kind of in this for a while, we started some groups in our campuses as well. So really how we see it going forward is both. We see it online digitally. We want to continue to offer that so that anybody in the country can get help. And we also want to offer it in our building as well for those people that need to have that face-to-face connection with other people.
Sure. And so maybe talk about that a little bit, like where is Living Free offered and how would I get connected if they're interested? I mean, we posted a link down there to the Living Free groups, but can you give us a little bit of background on when and where it operates?
Yeah, so all of our information, of course, on the webpage. And if you go to the webpage, there's a menu in the top right corner. You click on that, go to Care and Recovery, and then there'll be a Living Free section. And there's a tab that says, current groups. We update that constantly. So it gives you, right now information for our online and our groups also at the physical location as well. And so we right now have physical groups here at the Riverside campus, at our Highland campus, and at the Enchanted Hills, which is in Rio Rancho. And we have online groups, that we run out of here and also out of our Northeast Heights. So about 30 different groups that we have available right now.
Yeah, I'm so proud of our leadership here, Eric, because one of the first ministries that they really wanted to restart again was Living Free. Because they knew during this time of quarantine that people were isolated, they were disconnected, and they were struggling. And so they really wanted to get it going. And so, man, they have opened up some of our different permanent locations right now to offer some of the groups. And, man, we're seeing people come in.
Right.
And that's been incredible. I know Rick launched 6 groups this week here at the Riverside campus, and we had like 59 people show up in spite of the quarantine and everything else just to come and to find healing. So it's been cool.
Yep.
So what would you say to, if somebody is maybe in another community, they could even be in a community one of our campuses serves, and they're going, I really need to bring Living Free here. What are some steps that they can take? Is that something where they can be trained to be a leader? They just start online? What would you suggest for them?
That's what I suggest. If they're in a different area completely, I would say get online, be a part of one of our groups, go through that curriculum, whatever that group is, and then contact us and we can help you take that next step on starting it in your own church, in your own community, really.
Yeah. Become a part of our community too. Because we always have, and Rick over the years, Rick was my office mate for years, and so we were buddies in the same office. And so we'd have a lot of people who try to start groups all the time, who just week one, they'd come to Sagebrush, they'd be like, oh, well, I need to start this type of recovery group or this and that and everything else. And so our hope is that first come, be a part of our church and be a part of our community. Take our ownership classes, get to know who we are and what we're about, and then jump into maybe one of the groups that we already have right now, just to see if it's a good fit.
Sure.
And then from there, then let's get you involved.
And I think that's a good point, Andrew, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Living Free doesn't just like it doesn't substitute for professional help, Living Free doesn't substitute for attending church, right?
Right.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we would say that. We would want you first to be a part of Sagebrush. And man, Sagebrush is a great place for you to worship, for your family to get together and get grounded in God's Word. But beyond that, man, we want you to engage in community. And this is one of those first steps for community for people, finding Living Free so that you can get help with whatever you're facing.
So that could even be, even though, like we said, it doesn't want to substitute, but have you seen people that's a front door to attending church?
Correct.
Oh,
yeah, you can say that, right, Rick? You've seen
hundreds
so many
of people. Yeah. They will actually come because it's a felt need.
Right.
And so when people have a felt need, they want to get help. And so they'll come to Living Free and work on that need. They'll find out that, hey, I never knew this church existed.
Correct.
And they will end up going to our weekend services, be a part, serving, being an owner, all those things. And so it's been a great front door for our church.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of volunteers come in from that, where it was like, man, they didn't have any association with our church whatsoever. Living Free was that catalyst because it was that felt need.
Yeah.
And because they were struggling with an addiction, and man, they came in, got healthy, got involved in our church, and now they're some of the best leaders that we have.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and a question that I think we ask a lot, and especially, like, what are you doing with your one life, right? That's a thing that Todd keeps bringing up.
Correct.
But one of the things that I think you can look for if you're watching this is if you're sitting here thinking, well, right now I'm not really in the target demographic for Living Free. And maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But I think this is another good thing to remember, that we have ministries like this, that when you come across friends or family, that when you're thinking about, hey, I need to invite them to church, that this might be a conversation starter for someone who's looking for that kind of healing and help.
Yeah, and I'm so proud of our people here, because a lot of times they won't be the one with the issue, but they have a friend. And they'll say, you know what, hey, I'll go with you into this group. And I'll spend time with you. I'll come to the Living Free service, and then afterwards, hey, I'll sit with you in that group so that you can get the help you need. And we've had many, many stories like that. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, the story I just read.
Yeah.
The friend invited her friend to Living Free, and that's what happened. So, yes, lots of them.
Comment here from Jackie. She says, I recently had a doctor appointment and was able to tell the PA about Living Free for her patients. She was so glad to know that you are there for the community. So that's another thing, is not only do we provide, like we brought some of our Community Connect people on, and we're obviously providing food and other resources for people, but this is a spiritual need that also fulfills kind of a, you're saying felt need, but it's a physical need in our community for community and for help and for healing.
Yeah, and we have a great group out at the Highland campus, and I'm so proud of James Rourke and John Roberts for what they're doing in partnership with Living Free, because, man, they got about 28 people right now, and it keeps growing every week who are coming to meet just live at that campus as well. And so it's not just Riverside that started up groups. We have our Highland campus as well as up in Enchanted Hills, where we've launched physical groups as well. So good things are going on.
So last question for you, and if you guys have any other comments or questions, put them in here. But what really gets you excited about the future of Living Free?
Ironically, at first the COVID really kind of took us back. But what gets me excited is about the potential now that we have to reach more and more people. Digitally, we can go out there, and it doesn't matter where they are really in the country, in the world. If they need help, they can tap into one of our groups and get the help that they need. And we get to have a piece of that. We get a part of helping their life change. And so that's what excites me going forward.
What do you think, Andrew?
I love the freedom groups that Rick has started. And those are what I'm really excited about. Those freedom groups are basically our 12-step studies that we've made into Sagebrush language. And Rick's written a book along with that, and a workbook that kind of goes along with that to help them. And man, I'm excited about those groups that have spun up and started, because it's Sagebrush. It's a part of what we've done over these years. And man, we're seeing the people who graduate from that Freedom Group program are just in such better shape. And now, Eric, they're coming back to lead the program.
That's great.
And they're pouring back into that next generation. And so, man, I'm really excited about Freedom Groups. And I'm with Rick, too. This online thing that we've done has expanded just all of our ministries and opened up the doors from people from all over the United States as well as all over the world to be involved in Living Free.
That's great. Anything else you want to tell people before we go? Is there anything else about Living Free?
Yeah, for me, I would just say Living Free is for everybody. It's not just people who are really struggling with this or that addiction. It really is for all of us. There's times in our lives where all of us struggle, whether that be anxiety, whether that be stress, whether that be just something that we just need a little bit extra help. And man, this program has been effective for so many years at helping people through just a number of different things. And so I'd say, man, if you're struggling, get in touch with this, find a good group to join.
Yeah, and I would say, a lot of us right now are isolated. We're at home. We don't have anyone else. And we feel like, there's just no hope going forward. And this is what I would say, is that the lie that we can believe is that no one understands what we're going through. No one can relate to what I'm dealing with. And what I would say is this: we have lots of people that can understand what you're going through. And we just ask you to just take that step. Just take that risk, come down to one of our groups, get on one online, either way, and we want to reach out and help you. And what you're going to find is there is people that help and understand.
That's great. I want to thank these two for being here. And just so you know, if you're watching this later, or maybe you've got more questions, you want to get connected, you can enter them into the comments, because we've got not only Rick and his team, but we've got other pastoral team members that would love to be able to answer those questions for you, get you connected. I got a couple of announcements for you as well. If you didn't tune in yesterday to Todd's Q&A, just remember that you have this survey that should have come to you in your email that's going to help us with some discussions that we've been having on when to kind of reopen physical services. So check your email, check your spam folder for that if you didn't get it. So make sure you respond to that survey for us as well. And then another good news that we've released too is that we're going to be starting this weekend in the El Paso and Las Cruces markets. So if you know anybody that's down in kind of the southern end of the state where they don't get KOB TV, or if they're in the El Paso area, we're going to be on KTSM Channel 9 starting this Sunday at 10 o'clock. So let them know to tune in. So now we're basically covering the entire state of New Mexico on TV. Yeah. And again, you can check us out online as well. Tune in tomorrow as we bring you some Sagebrush news. But otherwise, on behalf of Andrew and Rick, we'd love to see you this weekend. Have a great week.